Hey there, and welcome back to The Deep Dive.
Hey, everyone.
So, today we've got a bunch of sources here, and we're going to dig into something that, well, it has quite the reputation in the IT world. We're talking about the Cisco Certified Internetwork Expert, the CCIE.
Right, often called the PhD of networking. You hear that a lot. And yeah, many folks think it's pretty much the toughest cert out there.
Totally. It sounds intimidating, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and maybe thinking, okay, why is this relevant to me? Or maybe, wow, where would I even start with something like that? Well, that's exactly why we're here today. We're using the material you shared to, peel back the layers on this CCIE thing.
Figure out what that PhD label actually means in practice.
Yeah, and build out a sort of roadmap for beginners using the insights from these sources.
Right. So the CCIE, it's Cisco's absolute top certification. It's not just another piece of paper.
No.
It really signals you've mastered designing, building, securing really complex networks.
Yeah.
The levels very few people reach.
And the why bother? Well, the sources make a pretty strong case, like potential salary jumps. We're talking maybe 10 times what you might be earning now.
It's definitely up there. Plus, global job opportunities suddenly become, well, more accessible.
And it positions you as a real technical leader in network engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond just the career stuff, there's this other value that the material points out.
The confidence thing.
Exactly. That priceless level of technical confidence you get from really, truly understanding this stuff at a deep level.
Right. It's not about cramming for an exam.
No, it's about actually becoming an expert.
And, if this all sounds completely overwhelming right now, there's a key point in the sources.
Yeah.
Every single person with a CCIE today, they started exactly where you might be as a beginner.
That's a great point. Everyone starts somewhere. It's a journey. You build up to it.
It's not the starting line.
No way. It's definitely a process.
A big one.
But, doable with the right plan.
Okay, so if this sounds like a goal you'd be interested in, the big question is always, okay, step one.
Where do I begin? Yeah.
And the sources. They give a very clear starting point.
Yeah. The absolute first thing you got to do is pick your CCIE track.
Ah, right. It's not just one CCIE.
Nope. Cisco has different specializations. You need to choose the one that, fits your interests or where you want your career to go.
And there are, 6 of them now? There's Enterprise Infrastructure. That's kind of the modern routing and switching.
Pretty much, yeah. Then you've got security, obviously focused on network defense.
Data center, for all the modern DC stuff and cloud links.
Service provider, that's for the huge carrier networks, the internet backbone guys.
Collaboration voice, video systems, and wireless, too, for big Wi-Fi deployments.
6 distinct paths. It's a really important choice.
So how do you choose?
Well, the best advice from the material is pretty straightforward. Pick the one you're genuinely interested in or the one that's most relevant to what you do now or want to do.
Makes sense.
Because this isn't, a quick thing. It's a marathon. You're probably looking at 12, maybe 18 months of really dedicated study.
Wow.
So picking something you can actually stick with, that's super important.
12 to 18 months. Yeah, that definitely puts the deep in this deep dive.
It does. It really reinforces that PhD of networking idea. It's about real mastery.
Okay, track chosen. What's the actual process then? How do the exams work? This is where the scary reputation comes in, I guess.
Yeah, this is a big part of it. It's a 2-stage process. First, you absolutely have to pass a qualifying written exam.
The core exam.
That's the one. It's 120 minutes, multiple choice.
Okay.
And it really tests your deep theoretical knowledge across a whole bunch of technologies in your chosen track. Routing, switching, maybe automation concepts. Depends on the track.
So, got to nail the theory first.
You have to pass that before you can even schedule the second part.
Which is the infamous lab exam.
Ah, yes, the beast. The 8-hour hands-on practical exam.
8 hours.
This is really the ultimate test. Can you actually design, deploy, operate, and then optimize a complex network? All under the clock.
8 hours of intense config and troubleshooting. Man.
And the sources mentioned it's split into 2 modules within that time.
Exactly. Module 1 is design. It's more conceptual. They give you requirements. You make the high-level design choices.
Okay.
Module 2 is deploy, operate, and optimize. That's the hands-on keyboard part. You're configuring routers, switches, firewalls, troubleshooting real problems, making sure it all works right.
And there's a time limit too, right? Once you pass the core, the clock starts ticking for the lab.
Yep. You've got 18 months after passing the core exam to make your first serious attempt at the lab exam.
Okay.
And then you have a total of 3 years from passing the core to actually pass the lab. If you don't pass the lab within those 3 years,
Oh.
Your core exam expires. You have to go back and pass the written core again before you can try the lab.
Okay, that definitely adds some pressure.
It does. But the positive takeaway I saw in the sources is that, look, thousands of people do manage to get through this every year. It's hard, but it's not, like, impossible if you prepare right.
Absolutely not impossible. Preparation is everything.
So what does that prep look like, especially if you're starting more or less from scratch? The material laid out like phases, right?
Yeah, a pretty logical 5-phase plan for beginners. Phase 1 is just get your foundations solid.
Basics.
Right. If you're kind of new to this level, start with the stuff you'd see in, say, CCNA studies, subnetting, basic routing, switching, NAT, ACLs, the fundamentals.
So don't jump straight into the deep end.
No, definitely not. Can't build a house without a foundation. So maybe resources like Jeremy's IT Lab, Network Chuck, CBT Nuggets, get that grounding first.
Okay, build the base, then phase 2.
Phase 2 is moving up to CCNP level knowledge, but specifically in your chosen track. So diving deeper into the specific protocols, maybe OSPF, EIGRP, BGP, MPLS if you're enterprise, or advanced firewall stuff if you're security. You need to know how to configure it, sure, but more importantly, why it works the way it does.
Okay, basics, then the professional level understanding. Then you're finally ready for the actual CCIE stuff.
That's phase 3, core exam prep. Now you focus laser-like on the official blueprint for your CCIE track's written exam.
The blueprint.
Yeah, use the official Cisco guides, maybe training platforms like INE, practice exams from places like Boson. You're hitting the advanced theory, the architecture, and definitely the automation side, which is huge now.
Got it. Theory nailed down. Phase 4 must be the hands-on part.
Oh yeah. Phase 4 is intense lab practice. There's just no way around this for the lab exam. You need serious hands-on time.
Simulators.
Yep. Start using simulators like GNS3, EVENG, maybe Cisco CML or VRL. The goal is just build labs, break labs, fix labs, recreate scenarios, practice troubleshooting constantly.
And the advice was .lab every day.
Consistency. Lab every single day, even if it's just for a bit. That's the key advice. It builds the muscle memory and the troubleshooting mindset.
Makes sense. Knowing about it versus actually doing it under pressure are two different things. What's phase 5?
Phase 5 is basically mark exams and getting feedback. Once you think you're getting close, start doing full 8-hour mock labs.
Yeah.
Time yourself. Be strict grading yourself.
Oof.
And just as important, connect with other people studying. Now, join study groups, hop on forums, Reddit, Discord, whatever. Get feedback on your approach, talk through problems. It's incredibly helpful.
So it's structured, phased. And the material mentioned that even just like 1-2 hours a day if it's focused.
Exactly. Consistent effort over time. That steady progress adds up. That's the secret sauce.
You mentioned simulators. What were some of the key tools or resources the sources highlighted for this whole journey?
Yeah, for labs, Cisco CML, which replaced VIRL, is the official paid one. EVENG is super popular. Community version is free, very flexible. GNS3 is another great free option, especially strong for routing and switching basics.
And for learning the actual material, beyond Cisco's own stuff.
INE comes up constantly, kind of an industry standard for deep dive video training. CBT Nuggets is often mentioned too, maybe more foundational.
Okay.
The Cisco Learning Network itself is good for official docs and community forums, and definitely, like we said, places like the Circe subreddit on Reddit. Real people, real advice, study tips, invaluable support.
And the #1 pro tip from the sources, the absolute must-do.
Download the official Cisco exam blueprint for your track.
The blueprint again?
Treat it like your Bible, your checklist. Everything on that blueprint is fair game for both exams, especially the lab. You had to master every single topic listed there, period.
Let's switch gears slightly. The practical side, we talked about time, 12, 18 months. What about the cost?
Right. It's definitely an investment, financially too. The core exam, last I checked, was around $400 US.
Okay.
The lab exam is significantly more, around $1,600 US per attempt.
Per attempt. Okay, so just the exam fees are like $2,000 right there if you pass the lab first time.
Correct. And that's just the fees. You also have to budget for training materials, videos, books, practice exams. That can easily be hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars.
Simulator access, too, unless you use purely free tools or have hardware.
Right. Potentially travel costs. Used to be you had to fly to specific lab locations. Now there are more remote options, but still might be costs involved.
And crucially, the cost of retakes. The sources were pretty clear that failing the lab, maybe more than once,
is common. Very common. It's almost expected for many people. So yeah, you might need a budget for 2 or 3 lab attempts.
So it adds up fast. We're talking potentially several $1,000s. Easy.
No doubt. But the sources also frame it as, return on investment.
Right.
If you land that senior network engineer role or lead architect position, salaries well over $100, sometimes much more depending on where you are in your experience.
It starts to look like a worthwhile investment in your career.
That's the argument, yeah. Plus that confidence factor the industry respects.
That comes with the CCIE status. It opens doors.
Exactly. Changes how you're seen professionally.
Okay, so someone's listened to all this. They're maybe excited by the potential, but also, understandably, maybe a bit intimidated by the sheer scale of it.
Yeah.
What's the final word? The main takeaway message from the material we looked at?
The big message is really, yes, it's a huge challenge. CCIE is hard. Absolutely hard. But it is not impossible. Far from it.
Okay.
The key, really, is breaking it down into manageable chunks. Don't look at the whole mountain all at once.
Just focus on the next step.
Exactly. Focus on your track. Focus on the current study phase. Focus on today's lab session, day by day. That consistent, focused effort, that's what gets you there.
And that advice about failure, that seemed really important. Expecting to fail the lab, maybe the first time?
Yeah, the sources really normalize that. It's part of the process for so many people who eventually pass. The message is crystal clear. If you fail, don't quit. Learn why, adjust, go again.
That resilience is almost part of the test itself.
You could say that. And also, don't try to do it totally alone. Use the community. Find mentors if you can. Connect with other folks studying your track. That support network is huge.
And maybe the most important thing, focus on the learning itself.
Yes. Always focus on genuinely learning the material, becoming that expert. Not just checking boxes to pass an exam.
Because you're not just studying for a cert.
Right. You're building real skills, deep knowledge. You're becoming a genuine networking expert.
Yeah.
And that capability, that status, that's something incredibly valuable that nobody can ever take away. It lasts long after the certificate is on the wall.
That's a really powerful way to think about it. The journey is the destination, in a way.
You got it. The cert validates the expertise, but the hard work, the dedication to the process, that's what actually builds it.
Okay, so maybe let's leave you, the listener, with this to chew on. When you think about something like the CCIE, the incredible depth of knowledge needed, right? The demand for practical skill under serious pressure in that 8-hour lab. And just the sheer dedication it takes, studying consistently for over a year, maybe longer. What does the pursuit of a cert like this really tell us about what it means to be an expert in tech today, especially when things change so fast?
Is it just about knowing a ton of stuff?
Or is it more about being able to solve really tough problems when the heat is on?
Or is it maybe fundamentally about that relentless dedication, that willingness to master the craft, piece by piece, learning from every failure along the way? What truly defines the expert?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the CCIE world. Hope it gave you a clearer picture of what it's all about.
Yeah, why it matters, and maybe how you could start that challenging but definitely rewarding journey if it feels right for you.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building that expertise.